We've got the creative glue.
Hello and welcome to Season 4, Episode 2 of Creative Glue, where we explore the common bonds that connect creatives from around the world. I'm your host, Scott Robinson, and today I'm joined by Alicia Robbins, a director of photography and a cinematographer whose career spans everything from independent features to some of the most recognisable television series of our time. Alicia's path into cinematography wasn't linear. She was raised by musicians and she first explored creativity through music and performance before discovering visual storytelling. And it was there that visual storytelling began to take hold. Over the past 2 decades, she's built a career that moves fluidly between small independent projects and large-scale productions. Her work includes Grey's Anatomy, Bridgerton, Keep Breathing, and the upcoming Baywatch. Across all of it, Alicia's work reflects a strong sense of collaboration and a deep respect for the creative process. Alicia, thank you so much for joining me today. Before we dive into your journey, I'd love to start a little further back maybe and taking and understanding how you ended up in cinematography when it started out with music.
Sure. Yeah. And thank you for having me. It's really great to talk to you. Going back, it is wild because I really did think that maybe I was going to go into music. My parents both being piano teachers and voice teachers, and both my brother and sister were in the performing arts and theater and things like that. And so it seemed like that would have been the path that I was on. I just realized that I loved playing piano, but I wasn't really that interested in writing music. And then I really also wasn't that interested in putting the practice hours to be a studio musician or a classical pianist in concert. So it was kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, I've got to find something different. But I still wanted to stay at least with some sort of creative arts. I liked public speaking as a child. And through my formative years, I enjoyed public speaking. I was the Jefferson County Poetry Reading Festival champion for like 6 years straight.
Wow.
I was unbeatable. I could just read poetry just really well.
Love that.
So I was unbeatable. I was always the one to beat at county. And that turned into me wanting to do public. So I started writing speeches and entering speech contests and debate teams, things like that. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll be a news anchor. That seems to be the logical progression if I'm interested in public speaking.
Yeah.
So it wasn't actually until I got to Vanderbilt University and studied communications, going down that path of learning how to potentially be a news anchor, working in maybe political science realm. Like I loved Barbara Walters. I thought, oh, I could be her maybe one day. And I started realizing that I didn't actually care for politics that much or even talking about politics. So again, it's kind of like, all right, now what? And so I ended up working at the Vanderbilt television station, just hosting some of my own little news pieces. But there was one day that my camera guy didn't show up, and I needed to go film my own little package of B-roll. And I was like, okay, this is way more fun. I'm really enjoying working with this piece of equipment.
Wow.
And then I stopped doing the news anchoring altogether, realized I wanted to start creating my own content, learn how to use the camera, and it started pursuing filmmaking. Like, okay, maybe I actually want to get into film. And I didn't know if I wanted to be a director, or I still didn't know what capacity. I just knew I wanted to create films somehow. So while I was at Vanderbilt, we had a few film classes that they didn't have a film program at the time, but I took the classes that they did have. By my junior year, I was running the TV station. My summer times, I was PAing on different movies and jobs. One that had come through Birmingham, Alabama. So I just always try to figure out a way of like, how can I get myself on set and learn more? And I would direct my own projects, I would shoot my own projects. And so when it came to me graduating from Vanderbilt, I realized, okay, maybe I should apply to a master's program somewhere. And I had applied to a few different master's programs, including AFI, and I got into the AFI cinematography program. Even I had applied to directing at some of the other schools too, but I got into the AFI cinematography programs. So I thought, okay, well, let's see where that goes. And then sure enough, that is what what I really enjoyed the most. Um, and yeah, so I haven't looked back since. I've been shooting ever
Amazing.
since. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess how did you move into, I suppose, small independent project, or between those small independent projects and then some of the bigger stuff that you moved on to? How did that progression go from, I suppose, just this love for it and going to study it and then moving into the industry?
Yeah, well, after I graduated from AFI, I got kind of lucky that landed a few features right after graduation. They were super low budget, but I knew that it was one of those things where you just need to get a feature out of the gate as soon as possible. And so I kind of didn't care what it was. I just needed to get a feature under my belt. And it was pretty fun though, because my first feature was actually shot on 16 millimeter. It was a
Oh,
horror
wow.
movie. It wasn't
Cool.
great at all, but it was really fun. It was really good practice. And it was kind of like one of those things that once you get a feature under your belt and you can say that you've done one, it's easier to land that second and third feature because you've already done one. And so I just continued doing really low budget independent movies. I mean, the maximum budget I think was 250,000. I mean, these were minuscule. That very first one I think was 50,000. It
Oh,
was
wow.
really really low budget. Uh but I mean, but after it was all said and done, I think I shot around 7 or 8 features, independent movies. And but then I also was doing anything and everything else in between too. I was camera operating for other people. I did electric work sometimes. I was just always trying to figure out, okay, how can I just keep working?
Yeah.
How can I just stay in this business without having to go get a full-time job? Because that I knew would be the end of it. Like if I couldn't pay my bills, then and had to go get a full-time job, I knew that would be the end of pursuing this career. And that
Yeah.
was very hard because there were some times that, and I'm sure you hear this from a lot of filmmakers, like you go through periods of your career where you're like doing credit card advance checks to try to pay your rent. And now you have that debt and you have to like juggle that between other credit cards to try to just stay in the industry. And another horrible thing about the way our education system is set up is if you go get a master's degree and you're paying those student loans kick in after 6 months. Like you don't
Oh,
have a
wow.
buffer. And when you're in a creative field, you start getting that bill for $1,000 a month after 6 months of graduating, you're not making enough to pay that.
Yeah.
So you defer, you defer, you defer. And before you know it, that accumulation over years of deferment, you're paying twice the amount of what you normally. So it's really you have to want to do this job. You really do because you just
Definitely.
dig yourself into a hole. And it's also the question of you don't know if it's going to break for you, if you're going to actually break into something bigger. You don't know. You have to just keep on doing it anyway, and then hopefully finding a way to get somewhat comfortable. So by the time it's around 2017, I started at least finding my footing in terms of enough camera operating jobs, enough DP jobs, actually enough jobs working with my husband, who I know you've interviewed him too, where
Yeah.
all those things together, I was starting to, okay, I can pay for things and I can save a little. This is great. This is good for me. Um, and I was cool. I was cool with like, okay, I may never break into big television or big features, but I'm making ends meet with the career that I've chosen, and that is awesome. that's a level of success. And literally it was like maybe 6 months later, after I was just like, oh, I'm cool with everything, that I got a call from the show For the People, which was a Shondaland show. They needed a C camera operator who was a DP that could bump up occasionally when the main DP had to do tech scouts or meetings, things like that, because he was going to be shooting all the episodes. And so I landed that C camera operator position and would bump up between 2 to 3 days per episode. Our double up days, I'd be DPing, and word got around that they had a pretty good DP over at For the People when Grey's Anatomy was starting to look for a new DP.
Nice.
And the producers at my show referred me to Grey's Anatomy, and I went and interviewed for Grey's Anatomy, and then I ended up on Grey's Anatomy as a
Wow.
full-time alternating cinematographer. So it was just like my husband says that I was a 16-year overnight success.
And what episode, or what season of Grey's was that you moved into that role?
That was season 16 and 17 that I shot.
Wow.
And it is true. I was at it for 16 years doing anything and everything and doing independent work. And then all of a sudden it was just like, whoom, here, shoot the biggest TV show that ever existed.
Yeah.
And so and a lot of people are like, who is this person? Where did she come from? Does she even know how to do this? And it's like, I've been doing this for 16 years. I just have been in the
Yeah.
low budget independent world. And then yeah, it took off from there. And so I haven't really stopped since then, at least with me being able to land TV show after TV show. But my feature worlds has disappeared. So that's what's so kind of
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy about, like, I went from the $200,000 movie to now like big budget TV, and
Mhm.
I do have this inkling of getting back into the feature world. I can't do a
Gotta
two hundred
find that
thousand dollar
break.
movie again. I can't do that. So it's got to be a little bit better budget than that. But I would love to get back into doing features somehow.
Yeah. And when you move into TV, and you come onto something so established compared to maybe being brought on at an earlier stage, how do you find that creative process of needing to shoot and follow a style? Because by that stage of Grey's Anatomy, it's sort of, I imagine you can't really shift that cinematography experience for the viewer. So you're trying to follow on a style, but that
Yeah.
compared to maybe being brought onto a show in its infancy and being able to
Mhm.
really influence the way that you want to bring your style and your kind
Mhm.
of approach to the way that show might be shot.
Yeah, no, it's true because I really did have to mimic the style, and also I'm going into the show where the crew is established too, so they have certain ways of doing things. So it's really you have to figure out how to blend in there, but at the same time, you always want to do something a little bit different, but not so extreme that the audience wouldn't notice, for
Yep.
instance. So um, I did have a different way of lighting things that wasn't quite the way that the other DP was doing it, but it was a learning process for me too, of just seeing, okay, how do they do this here? What can I change
Yeah.
maybe for the future? And then sure enough, when season 17 came around, I took over as the lead cinematographer, and that was also the COVID year. And they specifically wanted the COVID year to look different than any other year. So then
Oh,
all of a sudden I got
how
to
good's
come
that?
in, change the lighting, change the filtration on the camera, like that we made it look very different. And so
Yep.
that season 17 actually looks very different from the other seasons. And that was on purpose. And that was
Yeah.
from the showrunner and everyone wanting that to look differently. So that was quite fun to be that far into a show and then getting to tweak it a little bit because of
I can
what the
imagine.
story was. So that was actually pretty cool. But yeah, that is tricky. Like that, I feel like that's what I've always had to do so far. I've always gone into shows that are already established or have already been shooting. Um, Bridgerton is one of them. I got in at season 3.
Yeah.
Um, but you still find ways to add your own little flair to it. And the one thing that was nice about season 3 was that of Bridgerton was I got to shoot the first and second episode. And each season of Bridgerton has a little bit of a different feel anyway. So not that I was changing it completely, but still pushing it more in a style that I thought suited that storyline. I got to establish the look for season 3, which was really cool. Um, but yeah, I mean, honestly, this is actually one of the main reasons why I'm currently on Baywatch. So I am prepping the new reboot of Baywatch, and I'm shooting the pilot,
Love it.
and I'm getting to set the look, and that is incredibly exciting for me. This is the first time I'm getting to set a look of a show.
Oh wow.
So that's huge for me.
So in that, like, what is it you're looking to try and achieve first? Is it that visual language, or is it, something more deeper, like an emotional truth or a shared understanding with the people around you? What is it that you're trying to get
Yes.
first up when you're creating something like that and working on something so iconic?
I know, right? Because you're trying to, the way I've been saying it is I'm trying to honor the legacy of the original show, but modernizing it. And so, yes, it's trying to come up with the visual language. Like, what are the rules when we're shooting particular kinds of scenes? What are the rules when we get into the action bits of the scenes? Um, the color palette. What is the color palette going to look like? I'm testing lenses. Like, what kind of lenses feel right for the show that have maybe a little bit of a throwback quality to it, but still modern enough. So those are the things that I'm looking at. And actually, one of the things that I did, because I communicate well through visual aids, especially videos. And I thought, well, what is a better thing to do but create a video, a 5-minute tutorial on the visual look of the show so that I could give it to my camera operators, my gaffer, directors as they're
Wow.
coming in, like anyone. And so I put this video together first, presented it. This was after I was hired, obviously.
Yep.
Presented it to our executive producers and showrunner and said, "How do you feel about this? Does this feel in line with what you're thinking?" And they're like, "We love it. That's great." And so then we've just basically just been sharing that to anyone that's coming in so they can see what the visual language of the show is going to be. And
Brilliant.
I'm just thinking about, like, I want everyone to understand what it is that we're trying to do. And this is just the easiest way for me to do it rather than me having to explain it over and over and over again. It's like, no, here's the link to the 5-minute video. Just watch it. You'll get a good handle on what we're trying to do here. And so it's a way for me to be it's like multitasking. I'm just being efficient.
Yeah.
But apparently this is like very unusual for someone to create a video tutorial on the look of the show, but it's just the way I work, I guess.
It's certainly a good way to go, that's for sure, and
Yeah.
it communicates exactly what you're looking for. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we're not losing the slow mo. I mean, that's the iconic beach run in slow mo is
We're gonna still
with the
have slow.
Hoff. Like, I mean, does it?
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, that's
We're gonna
Baywatch.
have some
One shot,
epic
isn't it?
slow-mo. Don't worry. Don't worry. That is still part of the visual language. Yes.
I love it. I love it. So I mean, you know, you've obviously stepped into more leadership roles, especially at the moment, and even when you did Grays, I imagine that's stepping into a new role, like what
Mhm.
sort of pressures and responsibilities unlock for you creatively when you move into those sorts of roles?
Um, I mean, I really like to keep the crew happy. So, and well informed. I like people to know what it is that we're doing. I like to have good plans. Um, so just yeah, I mean, mostly just trying to keep everyone from stressing out about things. Like if I can have a smooth running set and no one like losing their heads over stuff. So it's a little bit of a management with people's personalities and making sure that people understand that they are doing a good job, and if they aren't doing a good job, like let's figure out how we can fix this. What can we do to make this better? Um So it's really about kind of taking the pressure off other people versus myself. And that in turn takes the pressure off me if I'm able to have everyone working cohesively and happy. So that's one of my strategies, just making sure that everyone else is being taken care of.
And I guess when you think about, working with people, I mean, that's a really critical part of your job. I mean, was there a point for you where you had to sort of rethink not just what it is you do, but how you might go about it and the people that you might decide to work with?
Yes, yes, because I've had some pretty bad experiences on set before, and I think I've talked about this before. It's probably out there at this point. There was a particular movie that almost made me quit the
Oh,
industry, just because it was just such a hard show, and I wasn't even shooting it. I was a 3D rig technician, so I did some 3D work for a while too to help get on bigger sets, so
yeah.
I could learn on bigger sets. This was kind of a back end way to get on these big sets and watch how things were done. It was just a really, really difficult show, and there were some personalities on the set that just were not good at all. Like it was just really hard, and I had to go into work every single day with just internal mantras to just try to get me through and not murder someone because it was just so brutal. And after that, I kind of thought like, wait, okay, if this is what a $200 million movie looks like, do I
Yeah.
want to do that? Like that just doesn't. I don't like the vibe. I don't like the energy. So I was questioning, okay, well, how do I want to pursue this then? Because that's the ultimate goal is to be on these big projects like that. But that was my first encounter of seeing something of that magnitude, and it was not a good energy at all, at least in my little world, in my little
Yeah.
bubble. It might not have been that way for many other people on that show. Um, and so then I said, you know what? I'm not going to give up on the industry because honestly, I don't even know what else I can do. Because I never had a plan B, so I'm kind of like, I kind
There's
of got
always
to
a
keep going.
career in reading poetry, so.
Right? No, maybe I'll go back to that. Um, so there wasn't really a plan B, so I thought, okay, I can't just quit this career and start over with something else. I need to just figure out what I want to hone in on. And I started thinking, okay, I just need to cultivate good relationships with people that I actually want to work with, make sure I'm always surrounded by people that I can be with for 12 hours a day, and just have the same outlook on just like being a team player, supportive of each other, not this like competitive, throwing people under the bus kind of personality. Like I just knew that I needed to surround myself with people that I wanted to be around. And so for the next few years, I just started to reach out to directors that I was interested in working with. One of them was actually a Vanderbilt graduate that I had gone to school with, and I knew he was directing and doing some pretty cool stuff. And I was like, I will shoot anything that you're directing right now. I just want to work with you. I think that we work really well together. And so what's so crazy about that is we ended up working together doing a short called Internet Gangsters. I shot it for free because he called me. He was like, "Hey, you said you wanted to do anything? Well, I got a free short. You want to do it?" I'm like, "Yes, let's do it."
That counts as
So
anything.
counts as anything. So I shot this free short for him. It was an one long overnight shoot, and I ended up winning an ECA award for that short. So it was
Wow.
emerging cinematographer awards. And so from that short, that was right before the Shondaland show for the people had reached out. What had happened is they reached out to the union, asked Stephen Poster, "Do you know any upcoming DPs that could be the C camera operator, possibly DP, da da da." And he was like, "You should really reach out to one of our ECA recipients, Alicia Robbins. I think she's a perfect candidate for this." So that's what's so wild about it is like, it was from a short that I shot for free that really put me in that door with the Shondaland world. And so it was
Wow.
the reset of my brain going, okay, I got to work with people that I want to work with. And by
Yep.
doing that has led to the success that I'm currently enjoying. So yeah, it's just
So there's really
crazy.
been that redefinition for you of what success was, where it was obviously originally, like being that DP on a feature film, but
Yeah,
now
yeah.
that it's something much more that is attuned with your creative process by the sound of things.
hmm Oh yeah, my vision of success is very different now. Of course, I'd still love to shoot a $200 million masterpiece with the biggest director, and I mean, I still have that goal.
So we're,
Um,
we're not parking Spielberg yet.
I'm no, definitely not. No, I just got to go like beat up Janusz or something just to get in there, though. I still have that goal, but at the same time, I'm perfectly content with being on shows with pleasant people.
Yeah,
This is also a really great career to have. I'm good
definitely.
either way.
Definitely. And obviously, you mentioned before your husband David, who was our last guest on Creative Glue, and he shared a motto that both of you live by, which was, being a small part of big things and a big part of small things. So
Yes.
how has that mindset kind of shaped the way you show up day to day as well?
Yeah. Yeah, because the last part of that is and treat them equally.
Mm,
So you have to, yeah. So if you're a big part of something small, then you have to make sure that you're putting 100% into that small project. It's not that, oh, I'm just doing this little small project. Blah, blah, blah. No, you're 100%. Or if you're a rig tech on a 3D rig for a giant feature, you're still this tiny little cog in the wheel, but without you, it's all going to fall apart anyway. So you've got to put 100%. So it's a mindset of any show, any day playing job that you jump on, it doesn't matter what it is. You
yeah,
have to be there 100% and care about it as a big part of it, if it's small, or being a small part of it and it's big. Like either way, you have to care about it.
yeah.
Um, and going back to the whole like success story of like, so there's one more little piece of that that's so crazy and it ties into what you're saying right now. I had been hired to day play one day as a camera operator on this Disney pilot, and the DP Christian Sabalt, he was DPing that pilot. And when I got there, it was just a one night shoot. I was an additional camera operator. It was like camera or something, like just way down on the totem pole. And I saw the body of work that they had to shoot that night. It was massive. It was like this concert scene. It was just all this stuff going on. And I was a little bold and went over to Christian and just told him, I said, hey, just so you know, I'm an AFI grad. I'm actually a cinematographer. If you need help at all with hopscotching, like if you want me to set up something like an insert and light it to get you ahead, I'm happy to do it. No pressure, but I'm happy to do it if you need something like that. And he's like, this could be a good idea. And so he started having me do that. He was having me like set up a shot. I'd light it with some of his team. He'd come and look at the frame. He's like, "Yeah, that's good. Okay, let's roll it." And so we got ahead and we were able to like complete the night.
Yep.
That was like 2016. Didn't hear from him again. Didn't hear from anyone from the camera crew. I'm like, oh, I guess I sucked. Like, or I didn't even really think about it. I was like, oh, okay, that was one day, but whatever,
Right.
cool. It was fun. It was a day rate. I got a union day out of it. It was fantastic. So when that whole thing happened, where they called, where the For the People show called the union to ask for someone to be the C camera operator, guess who that DP was? It was Christian Sabalt. And he remembered me. He was like, absolutely, we should get an interview with her. She helped me make my day on that Disney pilot. He remembered from 2 years prior. So
Wow.
you just never know. Like, don't walk in and half-ass it. Like, come on. You got to be there because it's important to someone.
Yeah.
So it should be important to you too. And I feel like for the most part, I've approached almost every job I've done that way. I'm sure there's been a few times where I'm like, oh, I really don't want to be here. And then, yeah, I probably never got hired again by those people.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that I'm always telling mentees and people who are coming up and pursuing this is just you have to put everything into it. Doesn't matter what you're working on.
It's so true, and I think we've been fortunate enough to pick up quite a number of international brand awards and creative awards over the years. But some of those that have won gold have been either the pro bono job or the smallest client you can imagine, because
Yeah.
it doesn't make a difference how much you're getting paid as to whether or not you're going to put creative effort in.
Yes.
Creativity doesn't turn up or down, hot or cold, depending upon how much you're getting paid for a job. It's you either bring it or you don't. I
It's
think
true.
that's the key thing, and so I love that idea of the small part of big things and big part of small things, and the key that you've added to that, which is
And
treating them
treat them
equally.
equally. Yes.
So powerful, so powerful. So outside of work itself, like what keeps you grounded with everything else in a world that I imagine is moving so fast?
Honestly, my husband is very grounding, which is great.
He's a pretty
Uh,
calm, collected dude, isn't he?
he's a calm, collected dude. We love to travel. We love to camp. We have a camper that we pull out to the forest once in a while. And even if we can get out just for a weekend, we try to do that, just try to disconnect. So uh, yeah, I like to get out and hike. I love the outdoors. So I'm always trying to find ways to put my mind at ease and relax my mind because being a cinematographer, when I'm working, it is so intense mental focus. And I don't know if everyone does that all the time. I just have a tendency to put a ton of mental focus because I'm very like type A about stuff too. Like I like to be very prepared and also everyone else that I'm trying to inform, I want them to be prepared and know what I'm thinking. So during the week, I am just going, going, going. So I have to have ways to just shut down. And I've gotten way better at that too. Like even coming home at night, I'm able to pretty much unplug, turn it off, not think about the work day. And then the weekends, I really don't think about work at all anymore. That's new. Like before I would be kind of stressing about the coming up week or what we have to do, but now I'm getting better at just being able to turn it off.
You'll have
So
to
that
tell me the
helps.
secret sauce for that, because I've spent 25 years trying to work out how to switch it off.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
filtrates my dreams. It filtrates my life in
Well, it still
every
infiltrates
form.
my
So
dreams. That one I cannot seem to shake.
no,
Like,
no.
because I'm
It's,
about to shoot Baywatch too, all of my dreams are about drowning and being in water. So it's like, jeez, this
I've
is
spent
not
nights
good.
and nights working on stuff, and then wake up in the morning. Of course, it's like you didn't hit save because it's not there. It's just in your brain. And you go, "Gee whiz, that felt like a bit of
Yeah.
a waste." But anyway, look. Before we wrap things up, we do this little thing at the end of our podcast called the Fast Five, and
Oh,
it's
fast
pretty
five.
simple. You know,
Oh
we just
no.
ask you 5 simple questions for a one-word answer. Give it a
Oh,
couple of words,
okay.
it'd be a sentence. But it
Nice.
sounds pretty easy, right?
Not, no, it actually doesn't. That's good improv skills, which
Well,
sometimes I'm good
you're
at,
on the
sometimes I'm
debate
not.
team. I'm sure you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. So, look, we'll kick it up with the first one. I'll make it easy. Instinct or preparation?
Instinct.
There you go. For a type A, I like that.
I know it's weird. That's actually weird. That's why I was like a little torn, but it still goes back to instinct.
I love that. I love that. Ocean or forest?
Forest.
Forest girl. There we go. I
Even though I'm
like
about to shoot
that.
Baywatch.
Yeah.
Forest.
Momentum or stillness?
Mm, momentum.
Cool. Cats or people? Was there an
I
easier
have a
answer for
sign in
you?
here that says a crazy cat lady lives here. I mean, done.
I love that one. And then the final one, routine or variety?
Variety.
Well, you've certainly had that in your career, if nothing else,
Yeah, I like variety. I'm so used to not having a routine anyway. Like, you can't have a routine
It's
in this
overrated, right?
industry. It's overrated. So no, give me variety.
Look, thank you so much for being with us today, Alicia. It's been a pleasure hearing about your experiences and your insights. And look, that's all we have time for on this episode of Creative Glue. But please join us next time as we continue exploring the connections that bring creatives together. If you haven't already, you can listen to previous episodes on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcast. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned to see who's joining us next on Creative Glue.
Your ideas and my ideas will stay together like glue. 'Cause we've got the creative